tomorrow.
How's he doing?
He's good, man. He's fully recovered.
He can walk?
Yep, and he's doing
Shit.
work. Yeah, he's doing work. He's back at work.
Oh, nice, nice. Cheers.
He's making. Guess what, dude? Cheers. Dude, my dad, as a retired cop, is making more than me and you and another person combined by showing up 3 days a week. It's fucked up.
Yeah. But I don't.
Anyway, but he's doing fine. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking, bro.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Yep. Yep. He's back making more money than God, and he's good.
Man, we'll be there one day, hopefully.
No, I don't think so. Pensions don't exist. Pensions don't exist. 58 an hour doesn't exist for us, bro. I don't think there's a single place that we can work where we get that much.
Damn.
And he's a bailiff, so he does nothing. Ah, fuck. Anyway, hold on. I gotta. Can I rock a piss or do we gotta go live? Or we're already live. Hey, welcome to the Basics Podcast.
Just go off the front door. I still got to get Mr. Producer up.
All right. Hit that. I'm gonna hit that, and then I'll be right back. Whoa, he went nigga mode.
What?
Sorry, what? What?
Oh, does this work like this? If I share the screen like this?
Oh yeah, yeah. You almost went dark mode real quick though.
Let's see. Where'd it go?
No, that's great. It's right up above your right hand or your left hand ear, bro. It's right above you. I don't see it on screen. I do not see it on screen. Oh, damn hoes. I think you're sharing the wrong screen, brother.
What screen am I sharing?
You got your desktop with your all your apps.
Oh no. No, we don't want to see that.
Yeah, we don't want to see that, brother.
Is it still going? It stopped.
No, now it's just you with a dark background, with the ninja background.
Okay, screen 2. How about this one? Um,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Play that shit. Let's do that amazing beat. Damn ho. No. Ain't that feeling just the good. Can't see me.
well, where'd my face go?
You're down here in the corner. I see you right here. Look at the camera. I see you right now. I see you looking at the camera right now. You're in the corner.
On the live stream, it doesn't do it though.
Yeah, but I see you. Oh, it doesn't show on the live stream?
No, on the live stream, it just shows us in the corner and then me with the white background.
Nah, bro, I see you looking like a ninja. You're like, dude, it looks good from my point of view. It looks fire. It looks like you like green screened yourself in.
I know that's what I was trying to do, but on the live stream it doesn't do that. On the live stream it just shows us in
Oh,
the
that's
corner.
bullshit, dude. Hey, on my end, it looks like 5 stars, bro. It looks incredible. I truly don't give a fuck.
Well, I'm trying
But
to do it for the people, you know what I mean?
I'm trying to do it for the
Let's try
fans,
one
bro.
more time. Let me try one more time.
So from my view, it's a share screen between you and your second screen.
Right. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be, but on the live when I go to YouTube, it just shows us in the corner like normal.
Does it show you?
Yeah, it shows us when we talk just in the corner, like in the top right hand corner. And then the share screen takes up the whole screen.
Well, that's perfect for the debate. That's perfect for the debate,
Like this. Like
right? No, no, no. Listen, that's good for the debate, right? Like the
I know
debate
I'm
should be
just
the
showing.
main.
See how it goes? See how we're in the corner?
Yeah, and it switches back based on who's talking.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That's fire.
Yeah, that's cool.
As long as the main screen is the debate. Is that the idea?
Oh yeah, get that up. It's almost fine. Let's see.
So what is the Jalquando studio looking like right now?
Mess.
No, no, I just mean like the Jalquando like mentality. How is that looking?
Oh,
Strong as ever? Many disciples? Lots of learning and teaching and fucking people up.
nah. I mean, been yeah. There's always disciples, you know. You got you. They follow because they like the way I lead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, right
Yes,
here.
sir.
I gotta share this screen.
All right.
Oh wait, that's. I thought it was going. Hold on.
Don't just
It's
hey, please don't share the wrong screen, bro, because that would incriminate me too. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Dude, I got one of these. There's a distillery across the street from my work.
Really?
I replaced my. It's called
Glen
Dry.
Karen?
That's a Dry Diggins. It's a mini, bro. Look how small it is.
That is a mini Glen Karen. God damn, that's small as fuck.
Yeah, that's why I got it. It's so cool.
Hell yeah. That's
Dry
for
Diggins Distillery.
damn. Nice, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it. What are you sipping out of that?
Out of that, I
No, no,
haven't.
no.
This is
Oh, I thought that was a Corona.
no, it's 805 Cerveza.
No, I saw it says cerveza. That's a Mexican for beer, just in case you didn't speak Mexican.
with lime.
Yeah, did you take Mexican in high school?
Bro, I took a lot of Mexican.
I took Mexican in high school, bro. And you know what? The one thing I learned is the
Nada.
difference between the cabeza and the cerveza. Cabeza, cerveza.
Oh shit! I thought
Cabeza?
cabeza was tongue or something.
No, no, no. Cabeza is dome, is your head. Cabeza. If I'm in soccer, I'm gonna hit a cabeza. I hit a header. If I'm drinking a beer, I'm drinking a cerveza
I knew that one.
versus the cabeza. Cabeza.
The
But
basics.
anyway, this is the basics. I'm breaking down Spanish. If you never played soccer in Spanish, cállate means shut the fuck up. Um, uh, uh, And then siéntate means sit the fuck down. Okay. And then levántate means hurry up. Okay.
Okay.
And those are the ones that I learned from soccer. Those are about the only ones.
Yeah, so I was heading those goal kicks, and I don't remember.
You put your whole cabeza into that ball, into that huevo. I'm just kidding. That's an egg.
Well, nothing's
Full,
done yet.
full cabeza to huevo.
Second presidential debate hosted by ABC. Get the ABC stream.
Oh, are we about to get blacklisted because we're not paying for anything?
No, everyone's streaming it. Nothing's going yet, it looks like. They just got to keep talking.
All right, we can keep talking too. We can talk with the best of them, Jordan. Listen. My anticipation for this event is that Kamala laughs way too much. Okay, so she's just gonna get on stage and start laughing,
cracking her jokes and laughing at her own.
She's gonna start cracking jokes, acting like the state of the nation is just a little laughy, loosey goosey little thing. And she's going to start laughing, and she's going to laugh too much. That's my guess. What's your anticipation?
I think it's starting right now, but I think that she's going to laugh whenever she can't think of a comeback.
Just like me.
I want to start this.
All right, let's go.
ABC News Special, the most consequential moment of this campaign. Kamala
Dude,
Harris.
I can hear this loud and clear. This is amazing.
Way forward.
Can you still hear me?
We will soon be a great nation again.
Hey, turn this down just a little bit.
Historic. The ABC News presidential debate.
Can you hear that still?
Perfect. Up a little bit. Up a little bit.
Good evening. I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for
Yep,
tonight's
perfect.
ABC's
Can you hear me?
We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC.
I can hear you, and I can hear them.
Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President
Trump is 6'2".
Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June.
Yeah, he's going to take Kamala, unfortunately. But Kamala is black, though. So I don't know, bro. She might have ligaments.
90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks.
She ain't
No
black,
topics or
she's
questions
Caribbean,
have been
bro.
shared with the campaigns. The candidates
Jamaican. Hey, what
is
is Usain Bolt?
That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals
Jamaican.
and 1 minute for
Black
follow-ups,
is African,
clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on.
Jamaican, Caribbean, blah, blah, blah. I feel like she could be like Usain Bolt.
In this hall at the National Constitution. This is an intimate setting.
I'm just kidding.
Who
Are
have
you able
never
to see
met.
me?
President Trump won the coin.
I see you up in the corner. Yeah, I see you.
Closing statement of the evening. Vice President
Why can't I
Harris
see
selected
you,
the
though?
podium to the right.
So let's now
I don't know. I see you right here, loud and clear.
Kamala
Because I'm
Harris
sharing my
and President
screen.
Donald Trump.
Hey, turn down the volume of the talking a little bit, and let me and you talk louder.
Oh, they're coming
Kamala
out.
Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Oh, they shook hands.
She walked over to him. She walked over to him. Did you see that?
Both here tonight.
Whoa,
We are looking forward to a spirited.
that's big. That's big.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their #1 issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice
Yes,
President
too high.
and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid,
She sounds drunk.
and I am actually the only
She
person
does.
on the stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and
Damn.
houses, and the cost of housing is too
Damn!
expensive.
Stop!
For people.
Dude, she's going right into some bullshit. She didn't answer the question. Just answer the fucking question.
Your children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which
Fuck is she talking about?
child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that
God
those
damn it!
families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
Too many talking points. She's using way too many talking points.
Businesses. I was
way too soon.
My mother raised my sister and me, but there
way
was a
too
woman
soon.
who helped raise us.
What about
we call
people
her
that don't have
second
kids?
mother. She was a small business
That's what
owner.
I'm saying, bro. She's using way too many talking points. What the fuck is this answer? This is a bullshit answer.
$50,000
The tax cut for the illegals that got their whole family, 10 kids here.
Knowing they are part of the backbone of the economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent
Okay.
Sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month.
Oh, she's talking about the tariffs, though.
Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Dude, she's not making any sense, bro. She is failing. She is failing right now. She is just fucked up.
Is that we're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums.
He's talking about
coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently.
Oh, he didn't need to say that.
Biden led into our country, and they're destroying.
Biden led into our country.
They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since
None of those
the
are his
Civil
fault, though.
War. And what we
But he
have
did
done
leave
is
him.
clean up Donald Trump's mess.
I guess so.
What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling.
She needs to take a sip of water. Her mouth is dry.
The detailed and dangerous plan called
She just
Project
called him a liar.
2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
He's already said 2025 is not his
that the American
platform.
people want a president who
What's he say right now?
of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than
Big
anyone, I
watch.
have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came
So does
up
that mean that he disagrees with it
some
all?
good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died. Has there been anything like it?
Oh, he's making a good argument.
With the pandemic?
This is
We
good.
came over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the
need another
pandemic
beer.
came in. Nobody's ever seen anything
He's
like it.
spitting facts.
Ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs
Wow. Let's go.
bounced back, and it bounced back, and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
He's wearing red, white, and blue.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has
Goldman
said
Sachs.
is Donald Trump's plan would
Shit, she's
actually
talking.
explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described
Oh,
his
shit.
economic plan as something that would increase
Oh.
inflation, and by the middle of next year
Oh.
would invite a recession. You just
Oh,
have to
shit.
look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you
The
to know
recession's coming. It
that
doesn't matter
Donald
who's
Trump
the
actually
president.
has no plan for you, because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
That's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look,
Yeah,
I went
she
to the
just
Wharton
tackled.
School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll
Is
try
yours
and
breaking up?
She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up
Can you
your
hear me,
tariffs. You responded, and
Yeah, I
let's
can
drill
hear
down
you.
on this, because your plan...
Okay,
is
my stream is kind of breaking up a little bit.
national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs,
Can
as
you
you
still
pointed out
see it?
here, on foreign imports.
Oh, yeah,
across-
I still see it.
You recently said that you
Yeah,
might
I
double
can
your
hear you.
plan, imposing tariffs up
Okay.
to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because
No,
of
we're
tariffs?
good. We're good. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. No, we're good.
Who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time.
I need a
People
beer.
can't go out and
I'm
buy
out.
cereal or bacon or
Bro, I
eggs.
got a beer right here. You want this one?
The people
I
of
wanna
our
pause it
country
between
are
questions.
absolutely dying with
All
what
right.
they've done. They've
that okay?
destroyed the economy.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90%
No, just go while
that the
she's
Trump
talking.
economy was great, that their economy
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got it, and it will be the
Let's
end.
Go!
She's a Marxist.
Yo, did you hear that, Jordan?
Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well.
Oh!
And you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue. You've often touted
a communist.
Roe v. Wade.
That was bars. You hit her with some bars.
To be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really...
Oh, Tim Walz!
Her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do.
Oh, shit. Well, why doesn't he use
very important
legislation?
And now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. And now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't
He already
want
says
that.
there's exceptions for those things.
And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill
what he says.
to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand,
Yeah.
if
He was
Donald
talking about what has happened.
elected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
She used to say drinking classes for someone that drinks water.
And there's no
because her
reason.
mouth is dry as fuck.
We've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states. And the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart.
If she's black, why is her hair
back in the
straight?
states, and I did something that nobody thought was wrong. The states are now
Donald
voting.
Trump looks less orange
That is
than he
an
normally would.
absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea, and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free, but they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. they can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress.
They
So
can
wonderful,
easily
let's
get it approved.
do it.
It's
But the
federal
fact
debt.
is, for years,
They can
wanted
forgive
to get
federal
out
debt
of
as an executive
out of the
order.
federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, want to give you your time to
No,
respond, but I
there's a
do want
certain
to
group
ask,
of
would
people
you
that
support
won't let
any
the
restrictions on
debt
a woman's
be
right to an abortion?
forgiven because they make money off the
absolutely
interest.
support reinstating the protections
No.
of Roe v. Wade, and as
Federal
you
debt. They
rightly
own it.
mentioned,
It's not
nowhere
federal
in
though. It's
America
still paid out by certain
is a
financial
woman
institutions.
carrying a pregnancy to term and
It's federally
asking
backed.
for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women
There's the Obama hand
who
signal.
are
He
working
does that.
one or two jobs, who can
He does.
He
He does do the.
childcare
Yeah,
as
he
they
does the thumb.
have to travel to another
No,
state
they seriously, they've
to
given her,
get on a
they've given her
plane
lessons.
sitting next to strangers
Oh, of
to
course.
go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both,
Dude, they
the
need to
people
talk about
of
the
America
economy
have
and
voted
war.
for
They need to
freedom.
not stop talking
Vice
about this
President
stuff.
Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
I'm a leader on fertilization.
Because
Veto.
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question.
you could do abortions in the
That's such a
7th
good
month,
clip.
the
Hey,
8th
clip
month,
that.
the 9th
We'll
month,
clip it.
and probably after birth. Just look at the governor, former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central
Borders
America.
are-
We know that illegal border crossings reached a
Yeah.
record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which and that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job.
But they tore
It
down
would
the
have
wall.
allowed us to stem the
Yeah, but
flow
she's
of
like
tear
the
down
only
the wall.
one that's actually done some shit about it.
I know there's so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires.
That's a lie.
And I'll tell you, I
I've been to
believe you
multiple.
deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back.
Oh, my God.
Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
I saw videos of people eating the rats in New York City.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening.
What in the
and it's a shame.
No, that's,
as far
dude, that's
as
real.
Rallies are concerned, as far
Bro,
as
hold
the reason
on.
they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back.
Did this just happen on national television?
Very simple phrase. Make
Or am I in
America
a fever dream?
She's destroying
it's
this
real,
country.
bro. I saw
And if she
videos of
becomes
migrants
president,
eating
this country doesn't have a
cats
chance
and
of
rats
success.
in New
Not
York
only
City.
success, we'll end up being Venezuela.
said
or
Colorado.
Dude,
I just
it's
want to
everywhere.
clarify here, you bring up Springfield.
I live right next to Colorado.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've
this,
seen people on television.
let me just say here, this is the
people on television.
is
say,
Oh,
"My dog
I've seen people on television.
food." So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But
television.
the people are
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying the
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says
Bro,
there's no...
wait, am I in a fever dream right now? Am I
The
in an
city
actual
manager's
fever
supposed
dream?
to say that, though.
Extreme.
Am I in a fever
First
dream?
laugh. That was her first laugh.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this
Drink.
election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formally worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including
Rhinos.
the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney.
Warhawks.
And if you want to really know the
No, those are the
inside
Rhinos.
on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of
Look at his
rhetoric,
face.
when the issues that affect the American people
Yeah, he's
are
pissed.
not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job.
What?
And they never fire anybody. Look at the economy.
True.
Look at the
You gotta fire
inflation.
people.
They didn't fire any of their economists.
Nobody
They have
else
the
can, they?
people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to.
She's already said
as well.
more words than Biden
President
in the
Trump,
whole first
you called
debate.
this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President,
the FBI, they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance
Oh my God!
is on criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and
Holy
respect for law
shit.
enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh,
not true. 63 of them were federal, and he lost.
Me. By the way, Joe Biden
one of them
was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies.
That's what she's gonna do. Oh, that's what they always talk about, and then they go ahead and do it themselves.
For members of our
Yeah, she didn't say it though.
What it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because
Trump said it. He got his balls were too big.
You know, J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's
Trump
up
has
to the
the
American
biggest
people.
Vice President.
stop
You
it.
had the biggest balls, but they were too
Vice
big.
President Harris, in your last run
No
for
Diddy
president,
though.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a
President
fake
Trump.
Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for
There's
president.
still a lot to get to. I'm so
No, you
terrified.
don't.
Dude, we're not even
Mandatory
halfway,
government
bro. Remember
buyback
that
programs for
intermission?
assault weapons. Now
God
your
damn it.
campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
Bro, her hair
You
is
take a
straight.
piss?
She's not
My
black.
values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear. In
Fracking.
2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy
Shut
our
the
first
fuck up.
future. The values I bring to the importance of home
So
ownership.
Obama storytelling.
Stop! Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch!
Emotional storytelling.
Is a
It's part
value
of their
that I bring
playbook.
to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is
won't be
related
able to do
to
that.
having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my
What the
focus
fuck are you talking about?
children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that
What
is about
in the
protecting Social
fuck?
Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values.
Her
and
advisors told her to pivot on this question.
people up.
Her advisors told her to make a big pivot on this question and to explain herself.
A name calling. The true measure of the leader is the
That's an advisor.
actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your
Well, first of all, I
response?
wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father.
Oh, he
I
was
learned-
definitely given that much
but I was
money.
given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction.
No,
and
he
it
was
built
absolutely given that much money.
of dollars, many
No, he
billions.
wasn't given
And
400
when people
million.
see it, they are even.
Yes, he was.
surprised. So we
No,
don't
he
have to talk
wasn't.
about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave
His
all
dad
that
wasn't that
stuff
rich.
up. Very wrong.
Not his dad, but the tax, the
Everybody's laughing at it.
His-
Okay, they're all laughing at it. She
his
gave up
auditors were that smart.
probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out. She went out in Minnesota.
You just hit her with that shit, bro.
Killed people that burned down Minneapolis. She went out and raised money to get them out of jail.
Dude,
she did
wait,
nobody would ever
wait.
think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this.
I'm shitting myself.
Guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. if she won the election, fracking
Oh
in
my
Pennsylvania
God.
would end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy.
What is he talking about? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, he's talking about the price of oil
they
and
said, let's go
gasoline.
back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole
Back
desert
to windmills?
to come out.
Back
You ever
to
seen-
solar?
By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take
What?
400,
President
500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
Fuck
lot
is
of-
this guy talking about, man?
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the
Triggering
role
question.
of a
Here we
president
go.
in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that.
There we go.
She was the border
Great.
czar. She doesn't
Bingo.
because she's embarrassed. In fact, she said at the beginning, well,
Hey, we both have to take a shot now.
that's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when
ask
are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington...
Oh, bro, this guy's insane, dude.
responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? there were fine people
How many
on each
nations
side.
were they kicked out of?
Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, if they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Right. You'll say, come on.
Oh, he got his ass.
Signs a bill that the border is
Oh,
closed.
he got his ass, though.
Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that,
God
the
damn.
border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President.
people are
That
killing
was
many
hella funny.
people, unlike Jason.
That was fire, bro.
Here tonight, I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us.
All right, I don't believe in the moderator anymore. The moderator is one-sided.
Mr. President,
I don't
for
believe in
3.5
him.
years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a
Yo, this is an attack.
weeks leading up to this debate. You have said, quote, you lost.
Moderator is
you, quote, didn't quite make it.
lib
Came up
brain.
short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically. You
But
know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here. As
Oh my God, dude, this guy is a fucking
in front of many
paid
judges,
actor.
Judge looked at it.
and said
they
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread fraud.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The President of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline. and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly,
what is she fucking talking about?
But we cannot afford to have a
Shut
president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk...
Oh my God!
Presidential debate and...
Oh my God!
Over and over again, are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact,
call him a
that.
disgrace.
It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men. They call him a strong man. He's a
Viktor Orban,
smart Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages.
Oh, no!
Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said the right to defend itself, but you
not Israel.
Matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must.
Not Israel, please, no.
You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock,
They
also
want to end that
understanding
war,
that we
but they don't want
must
to end the war in
chart a
Ukraine.
course for a two-state solution. And in that solution,
They're still
there
funding
must
the
be
war in Ukraine.
security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to
God
Iran.
damn it!
That Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a
Fuck
two-state
you, Kamala. Fuck you.
where the Palestinians have
Fuck
security,
you.
self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
Wow, they're asking hard questions.
Would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever. I know Putin very well.
What the fuck is he talking about Russia for?
No threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed.
Right, dude. They asked him about fucking Israel, bro.
What's going on over there? But when she mentions about
What the
Israel,
fuck?
all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet
What?
with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority
What
party.
in the actual fuck
She
is going
hates
on?
Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about
What?
that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way,
What the
she
fuck
hates
is going
the
on? What is
Arab
happening?
population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people.
Oh, brutal.
Again, divide
She's lying. You can tell in
and
her face.
distract from the reality, which is it is very well
God damn it.
known that Donald Trump is weak.
Yeah,
and
if
wrong.
anything, this makes me support Kamala Harris
It is
less.
well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he
Hey, bro,
said
can you
when
hear me when I'm
Russia
chewing food?
went into Ukraine, it was brilliant.
I don't know what you're talking
It
about.
is well known
I
he
can only hear you when you're
exchanged
talking.
love letters with Kim
Nice.
Jong-un,
What are you doing?
and it is absolutely
I was just
well
gonna eat
known
some food.
that
Take
these
some bites.
dictators
Too.
and autocrats are
I'm
rooting
waiting for this
for you
intermission. I
to
gotta
be
run a
president
piss.
again because they're so clear. They
I
can
gotta go. I gotta go right
manipulate
now.
you
I'll be back.
with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week. Said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approved the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe, because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
The ABC News presidential debate will continue after this.
Damn, did I leave like 30 seconds too soon?
Yeah, we're on a national break.
Okay, I'll be right. We got a minute 30.
What you gonna do with your minute 30?
Yo, are you still there?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna stop the screen share real quick.
All right, for
This
sure.
is the original, bro. The original. Let's make America great again.
Oh shit!
Oh, gee, let's go, dude.
Damn, son. I know you had it like that.
I have it
I
like
know
that.
you had it. I know you had it like that. I know you had it like that.
I came back with steak and beer. Steak and beer. Let me get you
Steak and beer. Yo, that's pretty crazy, bro. Hold on, let me get him a. Yeah, that's crazy. Yo,
Can I select two at one time? Can I share two screens at once?
no,
What's
dude.
that look like?
That's when you. That's when you break the barrier.
Can you see two things at once? What's going on, bro?
I do. I mean, I see your personal browsing history, but I thought you were doing that on purpose.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. Oh, I can share two screens at once. Oh shit, this is a game changer.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on. We gotta take a pause. Hold on, 1 second. You ever watch Dante's Inferno?
The anime?
No. It's a movie.
No, it was a book first, and then it was an anime.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
The anime
Um,
movie? Bro, I don't know
It's
what you're
like
talking
no,
about. Whatever you're talking about, it's like brand new.
No. It was filmed in Wallace, which is like a town. It's about 30 miles, 40 miles from me in Idaho. And it's about a volcano that erupts.
Live from the National Constitution Center in
I
Philadelphia,
only know about like the
Pennsylvania.
7 circles of
Here
hell.
again, David
I'll
Muir.
hit you up with it.
Davis.
All right.
Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in
Luke
Ukraine. We're now
Skywalker
2.5
was the
years
voice actor.
into this conflict. Mr. President,
Oh.
it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe. I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III.
He had Riz.
We're playing with World War III, and we have a president.
Hey, Biden has no Riz.
President. We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
Biden's
here,
son was on a board of an oil
like a
company in
dog.
Ukraine.
We don't even know.
Bro's got no Riz.
But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Shit.
Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are. Let's understand what happened here. I actually
The war,
met
it's
with
a Ukraine, it's a
Zelensky
Ukraine war. It's
a
not
few
an
days
American
before
war.
Russia invaded, tried
through
force to change
$9 billion in there.
boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and
I want
territorial
money for a
integrity.
new drone.
And I met
Why
with
can't I
President
get a new
Zelensky.
drone?
I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. and understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour.
You pooped on him.
I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting.
Quiet, please.
Shut up, bitch.
Right now. But
Quiet, please.
He's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strong men instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is Commander-in-Chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do
Talk
want to
about
talk
the
about
Zen ban.
Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, There is not one member of the
Obama
United
hand
States
signal.
military who is in active duty in a combat zone
Her
in
hand was
any
talking
war
about.
zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not, again, appreciate
No
the
foreign leader
role and
will
responsibility
respect Kamala because she's
of
a
the
woman.
president of the United States.
I'm just saying.
To be commander-in-chief
that's
with a
how it
level
is.
of
I'm just saying.
respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our
She do be roasting him though.
fallen soldiers, and the work that we must
Bro,
do
if she
to
went to
uphold
Afghanistan, she
the
would get
strength
raped.
and the respect.
I'm not
of
Right,
the
but she do be.
America
Yeah, but
around
she's on Air Force One though.
Thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the
Yeah,
negotiations
thank
with
you.
the Taliban.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother.
I got involved with the Taliban.
People all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore.
Is this real, bro? Are we? Is this real?
Send me a picture of my house. I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul.
Jordan,
15
is
months,
this real?
nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The
The
reason
fuck you just got talking about? Is this real?
we were getting out, we would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left 85
Bro, we pulled out and
billion
left
worth
people
of brand
behind,
new,
dude.
beautiful military equipment
Bro,
behind.
wild.
And just to finish,
We
Wow.
left people
they
behind.
blew it.
We went from no
The
man left
agreement
behind
said
to
you
just
have to
leaving
do
hella
this,
people
this,
behind.
This, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move
and
on.
these people did the worst withdrawal and, in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you.
Damn.
To race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
She's not. Look
and
at
now
her
she wants
hair.
to be known as
Her
black.
hair's straight.
I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate
Indian.
to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something, I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I don't
asking.
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she
I
was
don't know.
not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
Here we go.
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that
That's
the
not
vast
true.
majority of us
That's
know
the
that we have so
Democrats,
much
bro.
more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated
Calling him a slave owner.
because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5, took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread
Damn, what the fuck?
the first Black president of the United
Fact
States.
check.
What?
And I think the
Fact
American
check that.
people
Wait, that's
want
wild.
better than that. Want better than this.
Obama
Want
wasn't
someone
born
who
here.
understands as I do. I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up, Lindsay.
I want to respond to that.
They say Bitcoin's going down to 30,000 if Kamala wins.
Clearly,
Shit.
90 if Trump wins.
and I am certainly
Nope.
not Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what
Bolshevik
is
revolution.
possible. One who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses,
Strength
which
through
is
joy.
why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young
And she'll give you that money, though. She will give you that money.
to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people.
She gonna shell it out for you, hand over fist. She gonna give it right to you.
In terms of the American dream, by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers.
Oh!
There shouldn't be an
I believe,
assistance,
David,
though.
that
There
people
should
really
be
want,
government handed.
Oh!
as opposed to a conversation that
Do
is
you not want money? You don't want to buy a home?
and name calling.
No, but when you're getting
Let's
government
turn
handouts,
the
that money comes from
page.
somewhere.
Do you not want to buy a home?
Let's turn back to
have
politics.
It's not sound economics
Trump.
to be
Let's turn
taking
to
money
policy,
from other
guys.
people and other
Dude,
sources.
bro, do you know about
That's
the boomers?
redistribution of wealth. That's
To
communism. That's
confiscate
redistribution of
everybody's
wealth.
gun.
It doesn't
President
work.
All right, you know about your parents, right? The boomers.
Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay. Thank
That's what her plan
You know about the boomers, right? You know how the boomers are the beneficiaries of socialism?
I said I need to respond.
They're not
I'm sorry,
boomers.
we're
I just
gonna
need to
move on,
respond
Vice
one
President.
time.
My parents are boomers. Are your parents not boomers?
Time running for president, you
Gen
have
X.
long vowed to repeal and
Oh,
replace.
so they must have earned every dime and penny.
Failed to
All right,
accomplish
No, I'm not
that.
saying that,
You
but
now say you're
redistribution
gonna
of
keep
wealth doesn't
Obamacare,
work.
Quote, unless we can do something.
Yes, it
like-
does. When it's corrupt, when the system is corrupt, yes, you have to distribute the
And it
corruption.
is corrupt, bro.
years
The
after
whole
you first
system's
started-
Yes,
corrupt.
so you have to distribute the corruption.
That's what it is.
Obamacare was lousy health care.
You see what I'm saying?
It's not very good today. And what
Like distribute the corruption.
and we are working on things. We're going to do it, and we're going to replace it.
Like make that part of the policy.
Inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it.
I'm not even going to argue with you about
they
that.
Were
You can't
unanimous.
take money
they
from other
vote
people
to change it.
and
If they
then
would have done that,
redistribute
we
it. It
would have had
doesn't
a
work.
much better plan than Obamacare.
No, but you're always going to. Like, I can't stop paying property taxes, right?
I had a choice
Well,
to make.
hey, Jordan, tell me what would happen to me if I stopped paying property taxes.
Never going to be great.
No, I understand what
Or
you're
do
saying.
I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though
But you
politically
can't
it
take
would have been
$25,000 and give it
and
to
let it
people.
go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in this administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real
Two
bad
wrongs
ones
don't
too,
make it
and
right.
so do
Three
they. They
wrongs
have
don't make
really
it right.
bad ones.
Four
The
wrongs
difference
don't
is
make
they
it
get rid
right.
of them. But let me just explain.
It's
I
not
had a
sound
choice to
economics.
make. Do I save it and make it?
Never
as
gonna
it
Yeah,
work.
but people,
You're just gonna
or
make
do I
things
let it
worse.
rot? And I saved it.
keep
I
people
did.
get
starving
But it
doesn't
It doesn't work
also
like that,
make
bro. You get
economic sense.
25,000. If I get 25,000 to buy a house, what's going to happen? The price of the house is going to increase 25,000 because it's just an extra 25,000 that they could charge people.
Less money and
Who's they? Please describe it, please.
Whoever's selling their home, they're just going to tack on an extra 25,000. If people are getting free money to buy a home,
just so
they
you guys
can
know,
just
you
add
still do
on
not
that
have a
extra
plan.
25,000 onto the price of the home. That's what's going to
So
happen.
right now.
So what
Bro,
you're telling me
talk
is that
about-
there should
that's
be
what
some
trickle-down
regulation on
economics
that.
is. That's what trickle-down economics is. It goes to whoever owns things.
And
Whoever owns the home is selling it, and I have a free 25,000. They're going to ask for an extra 25,000 on the price of the home.
Vice President Harris.
It's that
Where
simple. It's
where
that
did the free
simple.
25,000 come from? Where did the freeness come from?
That's what she
Where did
just
the free-
said, bro.
2
That's what
years
she
later,
just
you proposed
said.
a plan that included a private insurance
You're
option.
muted, bro.
What is your plan today?
You got muted.
First of all, I
That's
absolutely
money
supported
logic.
over the
That's
last
what
4 years
happens.
as vice president, private healthcare options, but what we need to do is
Okay,
maintain
I don't know how to
and grow the
unmute now.
Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay.
Go
I
on.
just need to respond to a previous
Ask to
point
unmute. I
that
don't
the
know.
former president
You
has
gotta
made.
click
I've
yes
made
or
very
something.
clear my
I don't
position on
know.
fracking.
I'm sorry.
And then this business about taking
You gotta
everyone's
click a
guns
button.
away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand.
Did you hear her say Tim Walz and I are both gun owners?
60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable
I know a lot of
Care
Democrats
Act.
that are gun owners.
60 times.
Did you hear that her say Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are both gun owners?
The early
I know
morning
gun owners that
hours
want to take gun
Did you
owners.
just hear that? Did you just hear them say that?
and the late
Yeah,
great
I know
John
a lot of
McCain-
gun
Okay, so I can't hear any argument against that then. Okay, I don't want to hear a single word. Okay,
Like you said,
not a
and
single word.
he got caught. He
About
was
what?
an American hero. The
Oh no, if you're just gonna treat me like that, like if I don't get a single word in my domain, then yeah, you don't get a single word there.
No,
So
you don't.
that's all.
No,
That's
you
all I
don't
gotta say.
get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan.
Okay.
And what the Affordable
Right,
Care Act
right.
has done is eliminate
It's only fair.
the ability of insurance companies to deny
Bro,
people
you've been
with
screaming the
pre-existing
whole time.
conditions.
I try and
don't
make
have to tell
one
people watching
argument,
tonight,
and then
remember
you
what
keep
that
shouting
was
over
like?
me.
Remember
sorry, go
when
ahead.
an insurance
Go ahead.
company could deny
It's done.
if a child had asthma,
Oh, okay.
if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had
Okay.
diabetes.
Cheers.
And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000.
Is that bad?
And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it,
Vice
pass this
President
prologue
Harris, thank
in terms
you.
of where Donald Trump
Yeah,
is.
man.
wanna
I think
move
if you get sick, you should just be able to go to the hospital. You know,
One, John McCain.
that's my idea. If you get sick, you just go to the hospital and you get
It
help.
wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We could do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to give.
President
People
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax.
Have you been to Miami? Miami is. Have you been to Oahu?
These extreme weather occurrences. Who now?
When's the last time you've been to Miami or Oahu?
Being jacked up.
They're sinking.
Anybody who has been the victim of.
They're sinking down.
Losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that—
deal with this? No one can deal with this.
We have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased—
That's not enough.
—production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing.
Hey, someone shut her up. She's been talking for too long.
Them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under
Vice President Harris, you've been yapping.
They listen to you.
This last month.
She been yapping.
We're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these—
China.
And they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Closing statements from both of our candidates.
That was fire, bro.
Presidential debate from Philadelphia.
Was that not gas? That was pure gas. Bro was spitting on him. Hold on. All right. They really got a commercial break?
Yeah, before the closing statements.
All right, hold on. I have a work email. I have to reply to my work email here. Fucking fuck. Skiba. Skiba. bro. That's crazy. What kind of commercial break are we on, man? All right. Sheboygan. Yeah. This shit crazy, bro.
They went way over. Something must have happened. Who collapsed?
I got it. You bet. You hear me?
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey, listen. What do I gotta say? Fucking a lot of estrogen. Too much feminine energy in the house tonight. Okay, you heard?
Other countries, like other countries and other cultures, won't respect her because she's a woman. It's as simple as
You
that.
heard? You heard what I said. You heard?
Yeah. I'm not
Yes,
like
sir.
I'm not dissing. This is not a diss to Kamala. It doesn't matter who. If we had a female president, there's just other cultures in the world that just won't respect her for the simple fact that they're a woman.
That's true. That's
Sorry
true.
to say it like that, but to put it bluntly, that's what would happen.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
From the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Did you just play this?
David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
This is the
Welcome
debate.
back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris.
Are we live again?
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country.
Oh my God, we're
Focused
back
on the
live.
future, and the other that is focused on the past and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve.
She's doing the Obama speech.
Respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was
Obama.
United States Senator, and now Vice President. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. Just ask one simple question.
Germany.
Didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
All right, and back out live there to Philadelphia.
All right,
this
close
is
order.
Just watch the ABC News presidential.
What is our closing thoughts? Let's fucking back out of the stream. Yeah.
I think
My main thing is that Trump is still fucking strong dick hard. His dick is hard as ever.
I think it's all the same shit that everyone knew.
You don't think Trump's going in extra hard?
I don't think the debate changed anybody's mind.
Okay.
I mean, you know, like, I think everyone already had their mind made up, and if I don't think anything was said that was gonna change anybody's mind.
Okay. The show. I mean, that's about that then. And that's about that. What's up?
It was entertaining.
Oh, very entertaining. Oh yeah. It would have been nice if they would have engaged on a particular topic rather than just talk past each other. They never actually engaged on a singular topic. Other than immigration, they kind of got into it on immigration, but not really. It just would have been nice if they actually debated each other rather than debate the moderator. They both debated the moderator. They didn't debate each other. They debated the moderator.
I would have liked them to talk about crypto. I thought they were gonna bring up crypto. They didn't bring up crypto.
Dude, they could have brought up the economy, for goddamn sakes. Once, maybe once.
They talk a lot about distraction stuff. Like they need
very much. Yeah,
most
I was
important,
not amused. I was not amused.
I think the most important thing that the president should be doing is not social stuff. It's like economy stuff so people can afford and live correctly in their nation and national defense. And I feel like they didn't they spent too much time on bullshit that affects only like 1% of people socially.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's look at the crypto charts real quick.
Yeah.
We haven't looked at the crypto charts in a while. What do we got? What's Bitcoin at? 57,000. Okay.
Oh,
Ethereum is down though.
I'm
Ethereum's
rich.
down
No, I'm
23.
just kidding.
I sold all my Ethereum at 32,000 or
Shit.
3,200. What do we got? What's DOT at? 419. Let's get that up to 420.
420, baby.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Look at do a little search for Daddy Coin. What's Daddy Coin at?
Dude, don't tell me that.
Let's
Not
go.
Daddy Coin, bro. Not
Daddy
Daddy
Coin.
Coin.
Join the real world.
Oh no.
Yeah, bro. There's a lot of knowledge to be learned in the real world.
Are you natty?
I'm natty. What is that supposed
That's
to mean?
what that makes me question if you're natty or not, bro.
Natty?
Yes.
Natty?
I'm talking no fucking shit.
Natty, bro.
Listen, bro. Hey, just know that if you start fucking with that wrong people, you're gonna start getting questioned. Because do you are you on timing with this TikTok community on these steroid boys?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
You don't know the trend twins. You don't know
Oh,
like
right there. Look at I called it and it made it 420. Let's go.
oh shit. Let's go,
I
baby.
know. I've seen the Trent Twin stuff. Yeah.
You know Togi?
I know Togi.
Yeah, you know fucking the uh New Zealand guy that got fucking put in jail.
Nah.
Yeah, that dude was the biggest. But anyway, um, are you gambling or not?
Gambling?
Yes.
On what?
Are you putting in on black?
Uh,
When you wake up in the morning, are you putting like 30 on
all my
on
screens got messed up. No, I don't gamble. I mean, I
good?
like to every once in a while.
No,
But
no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Listen, bro, I'm gonna have to smoke a cigarette. I have to talk myself out of gambling because I'm finally at the point where I have a little extra money. And what do I do with this extra money? Do I put it in the stock market? Do I save it? Do I pay it off on my loan? Do I double down and
have
get?
you been gambling? Is there a casino by you?
Dude, I work at Clinton's Hospital. There's a casino. Did you not play at the casino?
No. I saw the one in St. Regis.
No, it's Quinn's Hot Springs, bro. My work, the tavern has a uh, casino like connected to it. You
No.
we didn't play pool. We didn't do anything. Damn, bro, that's crazy.
Did do they have
Yeah, there's a pool room,
they have dealers? Or is it
casino,
all digital?
and you're gambling in the tavern. We definitely were right there.
No, I remember now. I remember now.
It's
It's
digital.
all video machine. You guys didn't have dealers though, right?
No dealers, but it's just all a bunch of games,
Yeah, no, I don't do
a
that.
bunch of games.
Not that often. I mean, if I'm there, but it's not like it's something I go out to seek.
Right, but it's still fun. It's fun. I mean, if you have the scratch the itch, or the itch to scratch, however they say it. Uh, listen, bro. Let me tell you one thing. I got one thing to say. And that's it. Is that good stuff? You gotta just make the commitment and move off grid, bro. You gotta come out here. You gotta do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
that's
I
it.
don't have the if I don't have to go into debt to do it, I'm not trying to go
What do
into
you
debt.
mean debt? You're already in debt. Everyone's in debt living in society, bro. Just come out here, buy land, go and do a little bit of debt, but then just be good after that. Like you're already into everyone's in debt, bro. Living in the situation you're in. It's all debt ridden. Everyone's in debt all the time. And that is not a negative. It's just something that you need to look at kind of a different way.
I get what you're saying, but I also play baseball and make my own baseball bats.
Very true. You got a business, you're trying to grow. That business does not have the same market out here. So you got a different thing going on. You got a good market.
You have no baseball league.
No, we
Almost
got no baseball league. No, no baseball league. I respect your market, brother. I respect it. All right. Well, Jordan, thank you for joining me on this whatever this was. And uh I guess, dude, I don't know. We'll see who wins the fucking nomination. Or like, where do we when do we check back in? When do we check back in?
I don't know when we can.
All right, sounds good, bro.
I don't have an answer, but when we can.
All right, bro. Have a good one, my brother.
Peace out.
Peace out. A
A6
town
out.
down. Bam, 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 bam.